Welcome back to the channel and week 7 part 2, where we've clearly put the painting behind us and we get to start on something very exciting, which is the electrics. If you haven't come across us before, we're a family of 7, but Mark and I will be travelling with 4 of our 5 children throughout the UK after converting our Iveco daily van into our tiny home on wheels. You can catch the beginning of our journey right back in week 1, but here you're joining us on week 7
just to explain
part
what you're doing?
2. Enjoy the ride.
Yes, could do. Legs. Gangly legs. Right, so where do I start? So we have the batteries. You got the pendant, or the pen drives outside. Tips.
More than welcome.
No pointy stick.
Pointy stick, yeah. Important tool.
Oh. Horrible. Anyway, so what we're going to do, this is a vent on the outside.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, we're going to mount the DC to DC charger, because that gets quite hot because it's a Victron one. So the research we've done says it needs a well ventilated area.
Where is it? That's here. So let me just move this around. So this bit needs to be in a well ventilated area. This is what charges the batteries from the battery of the vehicle.
Yes, indeed. So the back of it has got fins on. They need to be cooled. So we have an air vent here, so we're going to utilise that air vent. So we've cut it open, past the vapor barrier.
Hang on. There we go. Yep.
Weave oil, have sealed it, vapor barried it, and silver tape, so it just vents there.
Yeah.
Big vents. So that's there. And what we've also got here is the old spare wheel mounting.
Yeah.
Which, to cut it out, it would just be a nightmare, and there'll be sparks going everywhere, and it's just not needed. So we'll just leave it in as is. The time we put the ply board on, which will mount all the electrics to, it will take up that thickness anyway, so we'll leave it open as. So what we're going to do, we've cut out the air vent.
So you're just marking out areas now to cut the board in and around those sections, yeah?
Vent, and then spare wheel.
To tag your heart out, yeah?
Yes. There you go, spare wheel.
Yeah.
Bracket goes there. We're going to raise it up to 70, which would be the bottom of the seats. So your bum will sit there. This will house sorry, all the electrics. And then connect our batteries.
Cool.
In simple terms. Seems so easy. But just far from it.
It is. So from the last time that I shared the progress with you, we have started to put the batten in and the framing. So just explain why, because this masking tape is where our seat is going to start, because we've got a raised floor section in the middle, as I explained the other day here. So just explain to people why we've got a batten across here and not across here.
So what we've done is, with the battens, is try to get off the ribs of the vehicle, so the structural ribs. So there's one here in the centre post.
Yep.
There's one that runs across here.
Okay.
But there's nothing here, or in behind here.
Okay.
So that's fixed. Sorry. Fix the top cross member here. There. And then there's fixed down there. So we've got a centre support, because if that wasn't there, this board would be even more springy.
Yeah.
So we've just tried to shore it up. So once we've got, well, this is fixed to a rib, that one's fixed to a rib, and then these are fixed to a solid rib behind there as well. So this gives it more support, supports that a bit more. And there is the last fixing point there, but it's still a bit springy. But once the ply board is connected, that will strengthen it, make it a lot more rigid. Sorry.
Okay. So when we go to do the cladding part, which I picked up the cladding, I haven't painted it yet, we're going to put another, I'm presuming we're putting it more here, and then that's what the cladding will also be connected to make the rest of it all stronger. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Awesome.
Because that will also then help us frame off the window as well.
Yep, perfect.
Later
Which,
on.
yeah,
We'll
is
keep that to that point.
one of many jobs that we still have to do.
Yep.
But what we wanted to try to do was to get this area sorted out now that we picked up the batteries. See, go and make a cup of tea, come back and whew.
Boom.
So go on.
So cut the board out. Spare wheel cover, the vent.
Mhm.
Now I'm just screwing it in, so I've drawn lines on where the buttons are.
Okay.
Underneath. Obviously we've got see the bottom and the edges. And it's just a case of starting from the top, working our way down so it bends to the shape of the van.
Okay, cool.
So if you do 1, 2 and try and put it in, it's not going to bend because you've screwed the top and the bottom and no flexibility.
Alright, cool.
So we'll come on down. The problem with the screws, I'm going to have to countersink them. You're not pulling around through, and you've got to be careful not to pull through the back and obviously puncture the FERPA barrier.
Okay.
You can do it. Lazy way of doing it. Stop pulling through. No problems there.
So just explain what the problem is.
For some reason, it's not pulling in. So the screw's not pulling in through. I don't know why. I don't know whether the batten's too soft, whether we've hit a hole in the pre because we're reusing the wood.
Mhm.
We're just not getting a big enough pull through. So the head's on sitting proud rather than flush in the timber. So
Okay.
we'll try some different screws, try some bigger threaded stuff. But again, we've got to be careful on the length. It can't be too long because it'll punch through the thickness of the the ply, the batten, and then punch yourselves into very barrier. So we've only got that thickness.
Yeah.
So those are very much the limit.
Okay.
If anything, they're over the limit really. But there is a bit of play, so it won't go all the way through. But unfortunately, so what we could potentially do is we'll try pre-drilling first. Do a small pre-drill all the way through, and then try and countersink so it pulls it in. We'll give it a try. See what we can do.
So I have left Mark swearing in the van, as he's having some of the issues with the boards, but I'm sure he'll go through that later. And I'm just going to utilise a bit of the time and try and paint some of these, some of the cladding. I'm going to paint that on white. This is going to be for the walls, just so I kind of feel like I'm doing something as well. Sometimes if we're both working on one problem, it's just a lot of sitting around for one person, so may as well utilise the time. So this paint is meant to only be like one coat, but you can do more than one, leaving 4 hours in between. But maybe you noticed when I was painting that I did a super thin coat first of all, and then I just went back over it. So I'm hoping that that should be okay. But I'm running out of space on the table now, so I'm going to see if I can find a solution. But unlike when I stained the other ones, obviously this is wet paint. And so I need to make sure they're not touching each other or touching anything else, so that they can dry properly. So this might be a much longer process. So this is where we're going to put the mains hook up. You can see where we drew one before and then worked out that's not in the right place. So this is where this is going. We'll sort that bit out afterwards. So now just drilling a hole so we can get the jigsaw in and then cut that. Just tell me when.
Oh my god.
What?
That is massively different to the shape that we got.
Okay. So
Okay.
we're just a little bit out, so we're just going to mark it back up and just make the little adjustments. It might actually be more of a case of filing that than cutting it. We'll see, because it's not that too far off.
No, hi. My fault.
So where's it catching? Just there. So the depth is more than the gap between, so we're going to now need to cut this shape into the wood to house all of this. So to do that, Mark is just drilling some holes so that we can then work out the shape from the other side. He's saying, "Come with me." Cool. Hey, Ruby Roo! You enjoying the time in the van? You've had a nice little shave as well, haven't you? So you're all like, what have you got on you? What are you doing?
Just explain to them what I'm doing. So we've cut the outside, as you see in the video.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I've done is I've cut the top hole and bottom hole.
Yep.
So I'm just kind of offering up to give me some sort of idea of the shape I need to cut this side of it. So it should be something like this. Yeah. So I've marked out the outside and I've drilled extra holes.
Okay.
You've got an extra 4 holes that I've put in. This will be able to easily link up, so rather than try and chuck the jigsaw around the whole shape and it being distorted because some of these tight turns on the shape of the box you're not going to get, I've drilled them in the holes, so I kind of do like a sort of that kind of action and then be able to run up, and then yeah, so it just makes life a lot easier for the jigsaw, as I will now demonstrate. Hopefully.
Cool.
Needs a bit of tidying.
So sanding it, is that what you mean?
Yeah, sanding on file. And Hoover.
I'm going to go and grab the Hoover.
Yeah, I can imagine you're twitching right now.
Yeah. Yeah, last night.
Last night, you said to me, I need to put the Hoover on charge, it's run out of power for the job that we were doing down here. You came in and you started to use it from up there all the way down here. Luckily there was power left, but yes, you do need to Hoover a lot.
Yeah.
Cheers. Still to do some adjustments this side. It's catching on the right hand side there. I've got to sort out that vapor barrier as well. The sun is shining.
So we've managed to cut the hole throughout here. I'll show you that from the other side in a second. This now fits all good. And what are you doing?
So what I'm going to do, rather than put a silicone bead around the edge, the square edge, put it in here, rather than putting a silicone bead around here and not making it look particularly pretty, what I'm going to do, got this tighten up. Let's put a silicone bead here.
Okay.
So then it's secretly hidden, and then obviously the foam padding seal is going to go around the box.
Cool.
So yeah, that's what we're going to do once I've unbunged the end of my thingy.
And then, and it gets screwed in as well, yeah?
And it'll get screwed in as well, yeah.
Perfect.
Something around the back. Well, I'll tell you what, of all my years, that's probably the first time I've actually done some decent silicone. Alright. And then we're going to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And then push. Boom. Thus, creating a seal of impenetrability. Not impenetrability, whatever. So yeah, and then we'll just whack the 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll put it into the van then.
Cool.
And as you can see around the side, there is a tad that's just pulled up at the top there.
Yeah.
Which you can just see there. Other than that, there's a nice seal all the way around.
Cool. I'll show you the inside. So this is how it looks from the inside. So obviously that one's been cut out so that the wire can come out, which is pretty awesome. And then this one will then get wired into the consumer unit. And we'll show you that in a bit more. Actually, that might be in another video. I might show you how to wire up the consumer unit in another one.
We are going to pre-drill them.
Okay, so we're going to pre-drill.
Don't whack in the first screw as tight as possible.
Yep.
Do it a little way so it pulls in a tad. Then put the others in and then just go around it one at a time so it evenly pulls the box in, otherwise you'll end up with it kinked or twisted or something. So
Good tip.
Pro tip.
Thank you. I'm going to hold it again.
Yes, please. Right, start with a circle around. And then, right, what we have done. No, that's right. There's him.
Cool.
Click.
We're going to need to clean up the silicone here and just a tiny weeny bit there. Oh, there you go. Is that?
Even tiny.
Oh, and a very, very, very small amount there. Armed with tools.
Nope.
That's why I said use the...
Alright, Tracy. Better?
Mm-hmm.
I had images of it working over there. Weight towers are massively wrong.
Just checking underneath.
Hanging it off. There you go.
Whoop whoop. One's main hookup connected. That's so exciting. Yeah, we still gotta try and we still need to rectify. We might actually even have to paint over that section because it's not coming off. But we're trying to get a better even finish on the coat of paint anyway, so we'll see what we can do. Good morning, everybody. The lighting is a bit poor actually because it's a bit grey outside and it is quite early in the morning. Right, Saray's still in her pyjamas. And he called you Ray Ray.
It's okay if you call me Ray Ray.
So I've come in to finish off the electrics. Well, to get on and do a bit more of the electrics. Let me show you what I was doing last night. So I have, oh sorry, we've got a lot of stuff in this van already now, and so it's already getting like cluttered is the word I'm going to use. Right. Hang on a minute, sweetie. So this plug socket is already wired up for the back to go on, and that's going to be housed here. Today, that makes a lot of noise, darling, the rattling of this. Today I have the 12 volt sockets also turning up, so they're also going to be housed here. So I'm hopefully going to try and do the wiring for that, because then we can maybe, if we've already got enough done, maybe we might clad that area and finish it. And then over here, I did try just taping this up just for the time being, but it's all come off. So this is the wiring for that particular socket. And then down here, I have already wired up the next series of lights. There's only 2 lights that are going on the roof. One here and one here. That's going above where the girls' bed would be, and then there'll be a switch just up here. So there'll be a switch just up here so that when they're in bed, they're able to turn the lights on and off. Then there'll be a second switch in the kitchen area around about here somewhere. This is solid, so it will need to come in a little bit and it'll be underneath the sockets. But that just means that these lights can then be turned on, ready for them to get into bed, and then can be turned off from here. But when they're in bed, they can also turn it on and off should they need to get out or anything else like that. So that's that set of lights. Then when it comes to the sockets, which is on the 240 volt system, we will have one socket in the kitchen here. So you can see I've already drawn it out. So usually, or according to our kitchen, there's a 22 centimetre depth from the worktop to where all the kitchen sockets are. But again, that takes us through to a support beam of the vehicle. So that's solid, so we're not going to get through that. So I've done it just above. And then there's also going to be another 2 sockets at the edge of the seating area and raised above the raised floor. So that would be somewhere around about here. Obviously all the electrics is housed here. Now I did also want one this side which is the opposite side. So seating that's going to go around here, here, and then here. But this is where all the water system is going to be. And I just really would rather keep water and electric separate. So I'm actually going to put a plug socket in here in that seating area instead. And that just means that when we are up, when we are maybe at a campsite or on mains hookup, we can take advantage probably of working, to be honest, and homeschooling. And so the plug sockets down there mean that we can all work, and the plug sockets here mean that the girls can, you know, maybe use the printer, the laminator, or me to create the homeschooling stuff. So yes, that's our update. It's raining at the moment. I'll show you our little makeshift awning, if you like, that Mark did yesterday so that we could carry on. And that's what we're going to have now. From now on, we'll probably be battling the weather more than anything else here in the UK. Usually just about when the time comes for the girls to go back to school, the temperature drops dramatically, and there tends to be a lot more rain and unpredictability with the weather. I do also have the decals for the vehicle. They're actually in the little tube behind. I say little tube, it actually goes all the way behind the seats. If there is enough of a gap in the weather, then maybe we might get those done today. Maybe, not sure. I'm also fighting against the clock because Mark goes away for a couple of weeks. So when he's away, there's only certain bits that I'll be able to do in his absence. So, although what it does do is it gives me an opportunity to catch up on my course, which I am so far behind with right now, that I'm mentally ignoring it, because otherwise I'd just stress out completely. So it does give me that opportunity. And also selling everything in the house, because time is running out for us to be able to get that all clear, so that we can move into here. And we'll move into here whilst finishing the van, because then that will free up some of the finances to be able to finish it. So technically we'll be living in the van before we embrace full-time van life, i.e. travelling. I think that will probably be the most challenging part, because daily life won't have changed in any way, shape or form. So you're doing van life without any of the advantages of doing van life, because your daily life continues. So we'll see how that goes. But race against the clock. Do, 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 do.
Thanks very much for watching. Join us next week where we have more on the van build, and please do like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. All of it really does help. Thanks for your support, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.